Hey! Hi! How you doing? This is the Gamertron, and welcome back to the Gamertron Show. So the time has finally come for me to make a video on the infamous video game, Destiny 2. And what a fascinating video game Destiny 2 is. Both the game itself, visually, mechanically, in terms of the in-game universe lore and story and science fiction, and of course, in terms of the drama, the controversy, the community surrounding Destiny 2, and the development and management of this game. I find all of it remarkably fascinating. Now, full disclosure, I have not played the first Destiny in any way whatsoever. I can't play the first Destiny. The first Destiny is not available on PC. Destiny 1 and all of its expansions are console exclusive. I know a lot of gamers, a lot of people have very passionate opinions and perspectives when it comes to the first Destiny and its expansions. People already have their biases, their opinions, and their perspectives on what they like about Destiny, what they hate about Destiny, what they expect Destiny to be based off the first game. I have zero experience with the first game, I have never played the first game, so looking at Destiny 2, I'm looking at Destiny 2 with fresh eyes. My opinion on Destiny 2, my biases, my perspective on Destiny 2 are solely based on Destiny 2, since I have no experience and no nostalgia for the first Destiny. Now first, I'm going to talk about all the positives of Destiny 2, all the things I really like. That is what the first half of this video will consist of, and in the second half, we'll get into all the negatives and criticisms I have for the game. Now, Destiny 2 is a strange game to talk about or review in any sort of capacity, since it's a games-as-service kind of game, where almost every aspect and feature of the game can be changed and altered in some way, update to update. So, fair warning, the information in this video may most likely become outdated. So with all that being said, let's get into it. What are my thoughts, feelings, and opinions on Destiny 2? First up, I want to talk about graphics, visuals. And when it comes to this aspect of Destiny 2, whether you love the game or hate the game, I wholeheartedly believe that everyone can agree that Destiny 2 is an absolutely beautiful looking game. And if you are a PC gamer like myself, it runs beautifully on a variety of hardware. For me personally, I'm able to run Destiny 2 at max settings on my rig and get over 100 FPS, over 100 frames per second. At max settings, everything maxed out, and the game still looks and runs beautifully. This is one of the best optimized AAA video games I've ever played. It's one of the best looking AAA video games I've ever played. Not just from a technical standpoint, as the texture work is really good, really well detailed. Lighting is phenomenal. And the special effects, oh my goodness, the special effects, the gunfire, the explosions, the lightning. Special effects are beautiful. Beautiful! While the technical side of the graphical fidelity of Destiny 2 is top-notch. It's the art style, it's the artistic and visual design that really steals the show in Destiny 2. The amount of creativity in the environments, the character models, the weapons, the clothing. It's science fiction fantasy creativity bliss. I'm absolutely in love with the look of Destiny 2. I love the environments, I love the creative creature and character designs for all the enemy alien factions, the simply awesome looking weapon and armor designs for your playable character, your avatar, your guardian. So yeah, when it comes to graphics and visuals, when it comes to the technical and artistic aspects of Destiny 2, it's a 10 out of 10 in that regard. I cannot complain. I don't have a single criticism to levy against the graphics and the visuals of Destiny 2. This is one of the best looking video games I've ever had the pleasure of playing and experiencing. Up next, I'd like to talk about the gameplay. And if I'm being totally honest, I really really enjoy the gameplay of Destiny 2. It's got really solid, really satisfying, really smoothly controlling gunplay, an adequate movement system, with, depending on which character class you're playing as, allows for a variety of different types of extended jumps, long jumps, double jumps, even triple jumps. Melee is very satisfying and impactful, and all your different special abilities, your different grenade types, your different class-specific abilities, and your super ability are all satisfying, empowering, a visual spectacle, and allow for different tactics and strategies depending on your location, the enemies you're up against, the gear you have equipped. It just all feels so good. Destiny's core combat gameplay loop, I find to just be very satisfying. As a first-person shooter, I feel Destiny 2 and its first-person shooting gunplay to be very fun, very satisfying, very well made, and the times where Destiny 2 transforms into a third-person action game via your super abilities, the sword power weapons, getting into vehicles, and carrying certain objects, it's a seamless transition from first person to third person. It doesn't feel awkward, it feels natural, and feels just as good as the first person perspective. Destiny 2 overall, to me, is a very satisfying game to play. Its core-based gameplay, its combat, its movement, its special abilities, the weapons, they just all feel great, they're satisfying, they're fun. Destiny 2 is just a really good feeling game. I never feel like I'm fighting the controls. Now, an extension to the gameplay are all the different weapons you get to play with. These are all also, to me, very satisfying and fun to use, and there's a great variety of weapons. We have auto rifles, pulse rifles, scout rifles, SMGs, sidearms, hand cannons, sniper rifles, shotguns, grenade launchers, rocket launchers, swords. There's a good variety of weapons, and they all look and sound and feel great. Now, in Destiny 2, you get to have 3 weapons equipped at a time: a kinetic weapon, an energy weapon, and a power weapon. Kinetic weapons are used for raw damage, energy weapons are for quickly taking down shields on certain enemies, and power weapons consist of, well, the most powerful weapons. And I really like how Destiny 2 offers a variety of different playstyles depending on which character class you play, which subclass you play as, and what free weapons you take, allowing for a variety of different combinations. Also, yet another extension on the gameplay is the RPG customization aspect of Destiny 2. Now, there's actually a good and a bad side to this, stuff I like and dislike when it comes to the customization available in Destiny 2, but I'll get into the negative side of that in the other half of the video. However, what I do like about the customization and the RPG aspects of Destiny 2 is all the different armor sets and armor customization for your character, not only making your personal guardian look unique, but also having a variety of different gameplay bonuses and stats. Especially with the exotic armor, I really like how exotic armor in Destiny 2 can genuinely change up your playstyle and give you very unique bonus abilities and stat buffs. And of course, like I mentioned earlier in the video, just the overall visual design and the artistic design of the armor and clothing for your characters just looks phenomenal. And lastly, when it comes to gameplay, I really like the different classes and subclasses you get to choose from and play with. They're visually distinct, they change up your playstyle, they just look and feel good. And before we move on, I do just want to specifically note that the PvE and the solo aspects of Destiny 2 are what I enjoy the most. Battling the AI, slaughtering hordes of alien enemies. That to me is Destiny 2 at its best, when you're engaged in this flashy and stylish and over-the-top, visually beautiful and solid, satisfyingly feeling combat with these creative and outrageous alien enemies, and the fantastic music is blaring in the background, which I'll get into soon. Destiny 2 can just look and feel awesome. A sci-fi fantasy first-person shooter treat to the eyes and the ears. Next up, I want to quickly talk about music. Music in Destiny 2 is goddamn phenomenal. Honestly, Destiny 2 has one of the best video game soundtracks I've ever heard. It's up there with Nier Automata and Doom. Honestly, Destiny 2's soundtrack, Destiny 2's music, is really that good. Just like when I talked about the graphics earlier of Destiny 2, I find it to be inarguable that Destiny 2's graphics and its music are of superb quality. Up next, the last positive, the last thing I really enjoyed about Destiny 2 that I want to bring up before we enter the latter half of this video is the lore, the universe of Destiny 2. This fascinating sci-fi fantasy setting that Destiny 2 presents us with. I honestly believe that the opening prologue, opening cinematics, the opening very first story mission does a good job of introducing brand new players like myself to the Destiny universe. Seriously, personally to me, watching those opening cutscenes and playing that opening story mission, I had the same feeling of fascination, of excitement, of intrigue that I had with the opening to Star Wars Episode 4: A New Hope, where the opening of the very first Star Wars movie just throws you into the fascinating, creative, fantastical world of Star Wars. I find Destiny 2's opening does what A New Hope did, for me at least, in introducing me to this brand new sci-fi fantasy world. While the actual plot of the campaign we'll get into in a bit, I find the actual setting, the actual lore, the actual universe, and even several of the characters to be interesting, engaging, creative, fantastical. The setting, the lore, the universe of Destiny is awesome. It's just awesome. It's awesome to see video game developers flex their creativity muscles with a brand new sci-fi fantasy universe. The creativity and the depth of the setting, the lore, and the universe of Destiny is on the same level of something like Mass Effect, or Dragon Age, or BioShock, Deus Ex, or I'm just gonna list off all the great sci-fi fantasy video games of all time if I keep this up. Point is, I really like Destiny 2's lore, universe, and setting. And so, with all that being said, how I love the graphics, I love the gameplay, I like quite a few of the systems and customization, and I really love the lore and setting and universe that Destiny 2 presents. There's a lot about Destiny 2 that I genuinely really love. I honestly overall believe Destiny 2 to be a good video game. But it has a developer, it has a publisher, and it has a myriad of issues that hold it back from being a great video game. Let's get into the stuff I don't like and my criticisms of Destiny 2. And dear God, where to start, because there's honestly a lot of them. First off, when you beat the story campaign, why can't you replay all the story missions? Why are you limited to only free story missions a week? Yeah, you heard me right. You can only replay free, random story missions every week, only one time. What the hell? That's moronic. That's stupid. Why can I not replay the story campaign when I want, whenever I want? What the hell? Speaking of the story campaign, while I do believe the overall story campaign of Destiny 2 to be fine, it's serviceable, it genuinely does have some really good story missions, especially the first 2 story missions and the 2 final story missions, but Destiny 2 has this fascinating, deep, creative universe, lore, and setting, and yet it does so little with it in its actual gameplay and story missions. Now, I love the base gameplay of Destiny 2, I find it very satisfying, the core gunplay and combat. But unlike in other first-person shooters, like for example, Titanfall 2, Doom, where in their campaigns they mix things up with gameplay, objectives, unique combat encounters, a puzzle here and there, set pieces, or even taking the time to just slow down for the sake of character development. Destiny 2, throughout the majority of its content, whether it be its story campaign missions, its adventures, its world quests, its free player co-op PvE strikes, the vast majority of the time consists of you walking in a straight line, listening to a character over the radio, while shooting at a horde of enemies. And every once in a while, for a brief few seconds, and even minutes, you get something actually creative, like a platforming section, or a vehicle section, or a simplistic puzzle. It may be a simplistic puzzle, but at least it's some sort of puzzle. The game's mentally challenging you in some way. Now, I don't mind casual video games. I believe we need to have a balance of hardcore experiences and casual experiences. So if Destiny 2 just wanted to be a casual video game, that's fine. It wants to be simple, doesn't want to rock the boat, doesn't want to challenge its players, just wants to provide you with a solid core combat gameplay loop experience, that's fine. But from what I understand, Destiny 2 actually possesses content that is more focused on the hardcore gamer experience, with actually challenging gameplay and mentally challenging scenarios. That content being its Nightfall Strikes and its Raid. I've put well over 100 hours into Destiny 2, and I still haven't been able to play the Nightfall Strikes and Raid. I really want to play the Nightfall Strikes and Raid. I really want to experience this content, but they're locked behind a player gate. Supposedly, the best and the most challenging content, from what I've heard from the Destiny 2 community, the best and most challenging content, the Nightfall Strikes, and the Raid, require you to be in a pre-made team of players. Because those two portions of content, Nightfalls and Raid, don't have matchmaking. Regular Strikes have matchmaking, the Crucible PvP multiplayer has matchmaking, but Nightfall Strikes and the Raid don't have online matchmaking. Why? Why? This is so frustrating. I want to play this content in this video game I paid for, but in order to play this content, I have to go inconvenience 2 to 5 people to play this game with me for several hours at a specified time. No! This is so needlessly inconvenient. Why is there no matchmaking? It makes no sense. Supposedly, the best content, the most challenging content, the most rewarding content in Destiny 2, I can't play because I unfortunately don't conveniently have 2 to 5 people to play this content with me whenever I desire. That's absurd. I can experience almost all the other content in Destiny 2 outside of the solo campaign whenever I want, for as long as I want, but not the Nightfall Strikes and the Raid. That's just... makes no sense. It makes no sense. And then there's multiplayer. Then there's the PvP multiplayer called the Crucible. Look, I've tried really hard to get into the Crucible. I want to like the PvP in Destiny 2. I've tried to like the PvP in Destiny 2. I've tried to like the multiplayer, but I just can't. It's simply not as fun as the PvE solo experience. I prefer the PvE player versus AI experience that Destiny 2 offers. I feel that's when Destiny 2 is at its best. I do think there is some good in Destiny 2's PvP multiplayer, The Crucible. Lord Shaxx, the announcer, is immensely entertaining and well voice acted. The multiplayer maps are excellent. I genuinely really like the multiplayer maps, they're really well made. But battling other players, battling other Guardians online is just not as fun as killing hordes of aliens in PvE. But that's not even the main issue with the PvP multiplayer Crucible. The fun factor is totally subjective. The objective fault with the PvP multiplayer, The Crucible, is that it's horribly balanced. Or should I say, absolutely unbalanced. There are certain weapons and character classes and subclass that are objectively better than others, and it's a case of have and have-nots. If you don't have these weapons, which you may or may not get from the RNG loot system of Destiny 2, you are going to be at a disadvantage to the players that do have these weapons, and there are certain weapons that are just genuinely much better, have better stats, have better DPS potential against other players. It's just unbalanced. It's not fair. It's not a fair multiplayer. While different individual player skill certainly comes into play, the objectively better weapons in PvP and the objectively better classes and subclasses are going to give you massive advantages still, no matter what. I honestly consider Destiny 2 PvP to be a chore. I've given the Crucible several chances. Hell, I have over 2,000 player kills in the game mode, but the only reason I'm ever going to keep playing the Crucible is not because I enjoy it and I want to, but it's because after the weekly reset that Destiny 2 has, where you replay certain game modes and content to get better gear, the only reason I'm going to be playing the PvP, the multiplayer, the Crucible anytime soon is just to get the really good weekly gear from the weekly reset playing the Crucible. I wanted to like the multiplayer, I really did, but I just don't. Finally, we come to the microtransactions, the business model, the business practices of Destiny 2, and they're atrocious. As much as I enjoy Destiny 2, as much as I like Destiny 2, this is a ridiculously expensive game. There's already the upfront purchasing price for the base game, but then there's the expansions, and the Season Pass, which comes with the first 2 expansions, and then there's the microtransactions. Destiny 2 can be a money sink of a game. As of making this video, the first expansion to Destiny 2, The Curse of Osiris, was added into the game, and I've played it. And the expansion is basically essential. It doesn't even feel like an expansion. It feels like an update locked behind a paywall. I look at the expansions, the genuine expansions from other AAA video games and even indie video games, and they do what their name implies. They expand the game. They don't feel essential. They don't feel like an essential part of the game that you need to have. It's just an addition that adds new stuff to the game. It's almost in a way its own unique experience. With the Curse of Osiris expansion to Destiny 2, there's not a lot of new here. And what is new isn't very much. I'm not saying that the Curse of Osiris expansion for Destiny 2 isn't worth some money. It is worth some money, but at the price point everything's set at, $60 for the base game, $20 for the expansion, another $20 for the next expansion, and then there's the in-game purchases with the microtransactions, and this is just all so excessive. Now, I'm cool with monetizing your video game. I'm even cool with having microtransactions in your video game as long as they're well handled, well implemented, aren't intrusive. They're just there as a little tip jar to say, hey, I really like your game, I really like what you, the developers, are doing, here's a little cash, I'll take that little cosmetic item there. Now, in theory, Destiny 2's microtransactions aren't all that bad. A cosmetic shop. You purchase an in-game currency, and you spend that in-game currency on cosmetics in the online shop. Good in theory, poor in execution, for two reasons. One, you can't just straight out buy the cosmetic you want. They're tied behind RNG loot boxes. Jesus Christ. I'm getting so sick of the term RNG loot box. I'm getting so sick of hearing the words RNG loot box. I don't mind the concept of a loot box. It's all about implementation, implementation, implementation. And it's not well implemented here. The chances are simply too high of not getting what you want. And that's because of reason number 2, why the microtransactions and this online shop are poorly implemented. There is simply too much stuff in the online store. There's simply too much stuff. There's too many cosmetics. There's so many cosmetic items in the online shop that could easily be used to add to the base Destiny 2 progression system, to give you stuff to grind for, to progress for, give you rewards and loot drops for completing content, defeating bosses. It's simply absurd, and dare I say it, downright discourteous how many cosmetic items are available in the online shop, in the loot boxes, in the microtransactions. Content that honestly isn't worth the money spending on the microtransactions to get these loot boxes. It's not like the business model and purchasing method of Titanfall 2, where the cosmetics in the online shop in Titanfall 2 are not only worth your money, but you can just flat out buy what you want. In Destiny 2, with its business practices, with its microtransactions, the cosmetics are not worth your money. There's far too many of them, it's downright unfair that there's so many cosmetics in the online shop and not in the base game. And to top it all off, you can't just buy what you want, you gotta hope you get it in an RNG loot box. God damn it. Honestly, my thoughts overall, I genuinely really like Destiny 2. I genuinely really enjoy Destiny 2, and despite all of its faults, I would be lying, I would be dishonest if I didn't say that Destiny 2 is one of my contenders for top 10 games of 2017. I genuinely enjoy and have had so much fun with Destiny 2 that I can't deny that I really like the game. But Destiny 2 is wasting so much potential. Correction, its developer, Bungie, and its publisher, Activision, are wasting its potential. Destiny 2, I believe, honestly, to be a pretty good video game, but it could be a great video game. It could be a legendary video game. It could be a video game that everybody is talking about and playing, but it has so many issues, so many problems dragging it down. But it is a testament to the graphics, the visuals, the gameplay, and the creativity in the story, the lore, the world, the universe of Destiny, that despite all of its issues, its positives, the things that are good about it, are able to, for me at least, keep the game fun, enjoyable, likable. So despite all the faults with Destiny 2, and despite the almost downright anti-consumer behavior from developer Bungie and publisher Activision, Destiny 2 is such a fascinating experience. It's such an enigma of a video game, of how good it is, how good it could be, and how bad it is, and how worse it could be in the future. It's a fascinating experience. It's a fascinating journey. I finally get to see all the controversy, all the drama, all the fascination with Destiny that I never got to experience with the first game with Destiny 2. So I'm going to keep watching Destiny 2. I'm going to keep playing Destiny 2. I'm going to keep following Destiny 2. And I am so curious to see what the future holds for this franchise, for this community, for this game. It's going to be so fascinating and fun. I can't wait to see what happens next. Anyways, everybody, this has been a video. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you indeed liked the video in any way, shape, or form, please be sure to hit the like button. Hitting the like button helps you, helps me, helps everybody involved in the video. If you hit the like button, please leave a comment in the comment section down below. What do you think of Destiny 2? What do you think of my video? Let me know your thoughts, feelings, and opinions in the comment section down below. If you want to help out and support this video, then please share it on social media, Twitter, and Facebook. And if you want to help out and support me directly, well, there's always Patreon. Anyways, guys, that's been a video, and I'll see you all later.